here I am still in Paris, recording this from the cute backyard of the apartment that we're renting. So today, guys, we're going to move into, we just got done talking about particles and how we are all made of the exact same stuff. Like no matter what kinds of worth or the value judgments we put on things, we are all made of the exact same things, right? So that anything that we desire in our lives, we are equal to that thing. There is nothing inherently, there's no better bred person from a better bred family or any of that nonsense we come up with these things. There's not anything that is inherently better or worse than us. There's nothing inherently inside anybody or anything that makes that better than anything else, right? It's all made of the exact same building blocks. It's just the value we put on it. So today we're going to talk about, we're moving into principle 2 in the flow method, which is you can change anything you desire in your life. Now, I know that sounds crazy. And there's a lot of reasons why that sounds crazy. And I even thought it was crazy too before I really started digging into the science behind this. So I kind of start off that area, and I'd love to give this example now because I think it's really powerful. I can remember as a child watching magic shows. And right now I'm actually watching a magic show, a really fantastic one, as a matter of fact, on Netflix called Magic for Humans. Highly recommend it. Really good. He does a lot of very interesting things that kind of showcase the way that our minds really work and social issues. Anyways, it's really good. But when you watch those, and I can remember being a kid, and I actually got called up on stage at like a school magic show, and I had to fold up this tissue paper, and then there's a truck going by, fold up this tissue paper, and then give the guy the tissue paper, and then somehow bada bing, bada boom, he turned it into this beautiful tissue paper flowers, right? And I was maybe 5, 6 years old, and I was so blown away, right? Because it looked like, well, magic. It didn't look like there was any logical explanation for what I just observed or saw right in front of my face. And so, of course, when those things happen, we believe it. And then what we realize as we get a little bit older is that there's an illusion. There's a trick behind the illusion, I should say. And that if we learn the trick, we can do those magic tricks ourselves, right? When we understand what that illusion is and how to create that illusion, we can do it ourselves. So what we're going to be talking about today is not so different. We've been taught to believe that so much of our life is unchangeable, that so much of our life is made of all these solid things, right? Solid bodies, solid tables, solid whatever, solid houses, etc. And I'm not saying it's not. It is solid. But here's what's really, really interesting. So we've been taught that because they are solid, these things are so solid that they are immovable, they are unchangeable in a lot of ways. But there's a trick behind the illusion. That's actually the illusion. What it really is that, as we talked about last time, as I said, we are all made of particles. I think I have Nutella on my, I think I have something on my arm. I must have cut myself a little bit. Okay, speaking of solid, turning to liquid. We are made up, as I say, of all those particles. But here's the thing. Particles aren't just particles. They're also little bits of energy, okay? And energy is movable. It is changeable. It is something that you can do something about. It isn't something like a solid wall. And I'll tell you a little bit, this is just a funny story from when I was a kid. I was actually one of those, a girl who was very much a tomboy in a dress. So I used to, climb things. I would pretty much anything I could climb or check out or do, I would. Okay. And so for me, a day wasn't really complete unless, and I don't know if any of you guys were like that at all, kind of more, I was always loved sundresses. I've always been really feminine, but I also really liked doing all these climbing things. And I even skateboarded one time in high heels. I bet a bunch of teenage boys that I could, and I did, and I won a lot of money because they didn't think I could. Anyways, that being the case, because of that, I was always doing a lot of crazy things. And there was one day we lived, actually, we were in Louisville, Kentucky for a while. That doesn't really matter. But we lived there, and I had this little cute friend of mine and me, and we were jumping on and off this rock. And the rock was like right by this brick wall in my apartment complex where I was when I was little, like maybe 4 or 5. And my little friend was following me doing it. And that day, I had not tied my shoelaces, right? And so I somehow jumped up, caught my shoelace, and went head first into the wall, right? Got a pretty good gash. Like right here, I still have actually, from where the stitches were in, I still have a tiny little scar. And my poor mom was walking up from like getting groceries that day and like dropped the groceries everywhere. I still, like, you know how you have these like core memories that are like stuck? That's one of them. And because of that, needless to say, we've all had things like that happen, right? Where we've run into something solid and we're like, well, you know, it is very solid. It doesn't seem very changeable, right? It's a hard wall. It's like this wall behind me. Actually, my daughter, when we got here, started walking down that wall, and she was really tired from being on a red-eye flight and really not sleeping the whole time. So I was like, oh God, let's not repeat this. And my daughter. So because of that, right, these things do seem, we run into walls, fall out of trees, we do these kinds of things. They do seem very unchangeable. But here's the actual deeper reality. Here's the illusion behind the illusion, or the trick behind the illusion. Nothing in life is solid. It may look solid, it may even feel solid, but it's not. It's all energy, and energy can be moved, it can be molded, and it can be changed at will, okay? So every single particle that makes up everything in your body is actually a bunch of energy that for that period of time has just become a solid particle. We'll talk just a little bit later, like actually tomorrow's lesson, about how does it become solid? Like how are we experiencing this as solid when it is energy? So then these solid things, any particle then can be changed, it can be broken down, and when they then release that energy. And then that energy goes off and it becomes some other solid thing, okay? So it's happening all the time. So the example I'd like to give that I think is really helpful for this one, if you think about a fire, you start off with logs, obviously solid, right? You light them up, they get hot. What starts to happen? You start to get smoke. The logs start to break down, right? Maybe you make some s'mores, you're enjoying your campfire, and then finally the fire burns out completely and it's just a pile of ashes. So the question is, what happened to the logs? What happened because they were solid just a little bit ago? You lit them on fire, right? Where did all the solid matter go? So if you've ever taken a physics class, you're going to know that the log's mass didn't just disappear. As the logs burned, they converted some of their mass to energy, right? It's the same energy that you toast your marshmallows and keeps you warm. That's energy. All it was the mass converted to energy. So solid matter is changeable, okay? It can be changed to energy, which means all the solid things, all the circumstances in our life just might be changeable after all. And interestingly, this discovery that I'm talking about now is the discovery that's inherent in Einstein's famous equation E equals mc squared. The equation literally means energy equals mass, m, times the speed of light squared, c squared. That's all it is. Energy equals mass times the speed of light squared, okay? So that literally means, that energy can't be created nor destroyed. It's just simply converted from one into the other. That's it. So all the energy that's ever going to be created has already been created. It's just waiting around to become the matter that you have in your life. It forms temporarily into the solid things you see in life, things like cars, your body, buildings, right? And then when it breaks down, it becomes and goes back into energy when it's sort of done being solid. Or if we'll talk about that, consciously change our perception, releasing energy or releasing mass into energy, right? So the basic idea here is that matter is actually energy, even when we're experiencing it as matter. Energy is matter. Energy creates matter, and matter breaks back down into energy. Okay? So, the basic thing I want you to take away from today's training is Nothing in your life is unchangeable. Not even the most solid things that you experience. Not even something like a tumor in your body, or a bone spur, or literally anything in your life. I can tell you from the work that I do with my mind-body stuff, the body language work that I do, where I translate the message behind people's pain and disease, I can tell you from doing those things, I have seen the result of someone understanding what the body is telling them in something like a bone spur and something like a tumor. And I have experienced people literally having them melt into thin air. I'm not saying that doesn't take work. I'm not saying that that's always instantaneous. Sometimes it takes a good deal of work to release it, but nothing in your body, nothing you experience right now is absolutely permanent, is absolutely so solid that it cannot be changed. So that's what I want you to take away from today. Now, as you go through your day today, I want you just to notice the things in your life, whether it's your body. Maybe you feel like you have too much weight on your body. Maybe you are dealing with something like cancer or bone spurs or other things, breakdowns in your vertebrae somewhere, herniated discs, anything else that's in your life. Like literally thinking about the things in your life right now that feel like obstacles, that feel like they're sort of walls. They're like that brick wall I ran my head into, okay? I want you just to notice all of those things. Notice the table that you're sitting at right now. Notice the computer you might be on at this moment, and realize that even as you are experiencing something as completely solid, even as it seems like it couldn't possibly be changeable, that it is energy at that same moment in time. We're going to talk about that more tomorrow, the sort of dual nature of reality and what that means for us as far as how our expectations are impacting our day-to-day lives and the kinds of experiences we get, and that when we change those radically, we can really radically change our lives. But for now, I want you just to start to notice everything, like the chair you're sitting on. You can actually notice and say to yourself, wow, this is solid and energy at the same time. Even if you can't see that right now, you can't perceive it right now, I want you just to work on that mental shift of seeing literally everything, whether it's anything on your body. Maybe it's like, oh, okay, I have extra weight, and we'll talk about what extra weight is, which is oftentimes padding from a world that's coming at you too hard. It doesn't have to be stuck on your body. It's not something that is permanent. In fact, nothing's permanent. All right. And so tomorrow we're going to talk, as I say, a little bit more about the dual nature of reality and how our expectations are the things that allow us to see reality as it's popping into reality in that moment in time. Basically, how does something show us itself as solid versus energy? Okay. So for today is homework, pretty easy. Just start noticing that the things in your life, everything that you touch, your own body, consciously bring your awareness to the fact that it is energy, even if you're experiencing it as solid right now. Okay, so hopefully this one has been really, really helpful. Start to put that into place. Let me know how that goes, and I'll see you tomorrow for really talking about how are we experiencing the things in our lives that we are experiencing, and how can we kind of shift it so that we make sure that we're experiencing more of what we genuinely want. I'll see you guys again tomorrow. Thank you again for your patience with the Zoom versus the group. With technology being what it is, I just assumed it'd be really simple to be able to hit Zoom and be able to do this from Paris. Never even thought there might be an issue, but we're just going to work around it for now, and we will go back to having both the Zoom and the group after I get back from Paris on the 18th. But for now, we can do it just into the group. And each time, if you're watching this on replay or you feel like you want to go back and go to the replay, do make sure you can just pop into the membership portal and it will be up there for you, usually within just a few minutes of this going out live. All right, until tomorrow, pay attention to everything in your life and just really get into your mind, no matter how you're experiencing it right now, it is changeable. You're seeing the trick behind the illusion. It's energy too. See you guys tomorrow.